because you've ended the meeting.
No, I'm joining again. Good morning, Mdu. Can you see me? Terence? Just unmute you. Terence, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yep, perfectly. Who else is on the call? So we've got, my name is not Cindy, by the way. We've got Anthony, Abby, Jason, Du, Nosy. Can you guys all hear me? Maybe give us a thumbs up. Use the reactions button. Cool, brilliant. Thanks, Abby. Thanks, Jason. Anthony, connecting to audio. Just wait for you for a second. Thanks, Nosy. Brilliant. Well, let's get started. Terence, I'll introduce myself. So good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining in. My name is Adrian Pillay. I'm the IT recruiter for ProTalent. I've been with the company for 3 years now, and I think I've been in recruitment for about 12 or 13 years. So good long tenure. And my focus has always been IT. So if I haven't been working for an IT company, I was probably recruiting for one. Why do I do what I do? I want to help make a difference where I can. So in terms of technology and IT and placing people in the right jobs, right careers, I just want to make that change for Durban, and hopefully, one of you will be one of those people. So cool. Terence, you're going to introduce yourself.
Welcome, guys. Nice to have you all join us. And just a quick introduction to myself. I made a couple of notes. So yeah, let's start off by, I specialize in placing people within the engineering, manufacturing, construction sectors. I've been within recruitment for a little over 16 years and successfully placing people throughout South Africa and other African continents. The reason why we've decided to do this webinar is purely because we often interview candidates who come to us and really struggle in terms of their career path and not really understanding where the demand is and where they should be upskilling themselves to help themselves stand out amongst the rest when applying for vacancies. So we're hoping that this webinar really triggers some thought, and you can take away and apply this within your current careers. So let's start with Adrian. Do you want to just educate us in terms of your experience on the IT side and what skills you feel are in demand currently that our audience can maybe look at pursuing?
Cool. Thanks, Terence. Yeah, so I mean, just seeing the trends and what's coming up, it's just crazy to see how many jobs are out there and what skills are in demand, and but at the same time, just seeing the shortage of skills. So people not in the right, not looking at the right qualification or not looking at the right niche. So I'll just go through a few of them now. So what's trending and in demand? In no particular order, what I'm finding more companies are looking for is, there's a lot of roles in business intelligence, data science, artificial intelligence is also coming up, cloud computing, definitely. Software developers have always been, probably the last 5 or 10 years now, have been its, an increase, but more so now. Mobile application development is another thing, Android and iOS developers, and obviously IT service management on the whole, so IT infrastructure engineers. I'll just go through some of these roles and focus on some of the skills that people will need to know to get into those careers. So business intelligence, including business analysts, data scientists. These roles are becoming increasing in demand as we see the progression of larger companies, larger corporates analyzing their business processes, their production, their sales, business analytics, all of these things just to improve efficiencies and make more informed business decisions. So what's needed for these roles within business analysts and data analysts? Business analysts need to know SQL. So it's a programming language, SQL, R, Tableau, even Excel. You've got to be really, really advanced in Excel. Data scientists need to know programming language like Python or R, SAS, Spark, TensorFlow, Hadoop. There's quite a few, but if you guys want to get into roles like data scientists or business analysts, these are some of the things that you need to focus on. Power BI is also included there. So as you can see, programming knowledge and knowledge of system or software development lifecycle is very important. You've got to know these things. Excel is often used throughout. So, getting yourself to an advanced level of Excel will really put you in good standing. Even, a short course in business analytics will help you stand out to get into these roles. And obviously, as the job titles suggest, business analysts and data analysts, you must be extremely analytical, critical, high attention to detail. You must have a strong knowledge of software and database design, excellent communication skills, because you're dealing with management and senior leadership in your business. I'll move on quickly to artificial intelligence. And what I think, obviously we're only on the cusp in South Africa. We're still getting there. Obviously, the larger corporates, when they're playing in the international space, they've already, getting their staff or people really skilled up in these. But where's it being used now? It's being used in online shopping. We don't even, it's obviously freely available, but are we even aware that artificial intelligence is being used in machine learning? Social media networks, we use social media daily, but they use artificial intelligence in their mobile use, obviously voice to text and things like that. So it's still pretty advanced. But we need to get, skilled up in these to get into these positions. But the more reading you can do and the more learning you can do about these things, then you'll be on your way. I'll move on to cloud computing. That's definitely one of the key roles I'm finding difficulty in finding people for. Some of you out there might already know or be aware of cloud platforms like AWS, Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure, Linux operating system is also based. You need to start learning about developing skills in these platforms. Anyone looking to get into cloud computing must also start looking to, and I'll give you a quick list. So AWS, like I mentioned, they're the pioneer in cloud computing and cloud services. Python, I mentioned just now. Java, Microsoft Azure, Agile project management methodology or practices, Puppet, Chef, Ansible, Docker, all tools, VMware virtualization, all these tools. If you're making notes, I know I'm going pretty fast through them, but if you're making notes, I would start looking and reading up on some of these technologies and platforms to get yourself ahead of the game. Thirdly, and obviously these aren't in any particular order, but and I'll be sending out the notes afterwards. But thirdly, software developers, software testers are in high demand. Definitely in KZN, we have a shortage of developers. You might know, some of the back end, front end, full stack, UI, UX, all of these terms, not a lot of people even understand what they are. But if you want to get into this space, you've got to do your reading, you've got to do your skilling up in these. iOS and Android development, so your mobile app developers. There's companies in Durban right now looking for people who who have these skills, iOS and Android. So, skill up, C#, Java, JavaScript, HTML5, PHP, .NET development. Start looking at these roles, start looking at how you can build a career. And the career path of a developer is, obviously you'll start maybe possibly internship, a junior developer, move on to a senior software developer, move on to team lead or lead developer or software architect, then on to a project manager, and then who knows, a chief technology officer. So there's a very clear career path for software developers, and so too for software testers. Career path for software testers can be a test analyst or junior software tester, so a senior test analyst, team lead, again, test manager, test consultant, senior test manager, principal consultant. There's a very clear path for these roles. Some of the skills I would say for within software testing, VB script, you've got to know Java, Python, Perl, Cypress tools, look at Jira, Selenium. Robotic process automation is another big thing coming up, so you need to start learning and focusing your skill set in that. And I mentioned before IT infrastructure, IT management. I'd encourage those of you who are more technically inclined and maybe hands-on, but more on the hardware focus. Look at certifications, look at courses within Cisco, Microsoft's courses like I think CSE. You get cloud platforms, cloud certifications as well. Hyper-V, VMware is one of those, and start looking at roles or look at job descriptions. I would say go onto job boards and look at Azure Cloud Engineer. Look at Linux Engineer, what the requirements are for those. What are the requirements for Systems Engineer and Network Engineer? All of these things, high in demand now. We are finding there is a shortage, but I know that, once we get people thinking, Terence, they'll start clicking on to what the skills are out there. There's loads of certifications. I'll put up more notes as we go on, but yeah, Terence.
Yeah, thanks, Adrian. I think your industry is very challenging and a lot of different languages, and some of that stuff is very foreign to myself. So yeah, good luck with that. But hopefully we get some youngsters pursuing those really rare skills.
Yeah.
So guys, I'm going to mention a couple of careers to consider if you are trying to consider a career, not too sure which career path to pursue. And hopefully this helps you pick and choose and drive your career forward in the right direction. So I'm often liaising with clients, business owners, with regards to mechanical engineers. Always a big demand. Electronic engineers, extremely huge in the electronic industry, and these all apply to manufacturing industries. Electrical and instrumentation engineers, also very big demand. Design engineers. So people pursue these engineering qualifications and then go into a specialization. Design is one of them. So it could be electrical design, mechanical design, electronic design, industrial design. So look at that route as well. If you've got a passion for design or you feel that you're more creative, then look at the design route. Chemical engineers, also in demand, but I have seen quite a oversaturated market in terms of too many chemical engineers unemployed. So not as in need as the mechanical, electrical, E&R, designer type career levels. Millwrights, very big in demand. This is encompassing of your mechanical and electrical trades. So don't just go the mechanical fitter route or the electrical route. Try and do millwrights, and then you become a jack of all trades. Fitter and turner, very, very much in demand. Lots of business opportunities or employment opportunities overseas for fitter and turners. So if you trade tested as a fitter and turner, grow your career there. It's a very hands-on role. Tool and die makers, There are very few tool and die makers in South Africa. So also a good career path to look at. Electricians, there are quite a lot of electricians, but they kind of stop at their trade test. Try and further your electrical trade by doing a wireman's license or a master's in your electrical career. That will definitely help you in the long run. Production is something that I'm faced with on a daily basis at all levels. So production management is a very important skill set or position to have in any production or manufacturing environment. Having an engineering degree and pursuing a production career is like gold. So if you're a mechanical engineer or electrical engineer and wanting to become a production manager, good idea is to have a engineering degree and a production management diploma or qualification behind you. The combination of those two is like gold in South Africa. As well as operations management, nice long-term career goal to pursue. This type of role needs good people skills, good technical skills, good engineering and operations, production management type qualifications. So you'll see that there's a trend here that engineering is a very hands-on, very technical qualification that can lead you into different careers. So very good idea is to maybe do an engineering qualification and couple that with an operations, production, quality type diploma. Quality management is also a career in high demand. This will go down well with an engineering qualification, again, with a passion for quality and quality management. Highly sought after in all industries throughout South Africa. Check management is a combination of your safety and quality. Also big in the manufacturing industry. Everything's about quality these days. And if you can hone in on your quality and pursue qualifications at a high level and try and couple that with an engineering degree, your career would be set for life. GCC factories is always in demand. This is your license to operate for qualified engineers in the mining and heavy industry. The GCC focuses on the legal and technical aspects of engineering, which is always a highly sought after certificate. Supply chain management, for those that like logistics, this is a qualification that is used widely throughout a lot of different careers. So you could obtain a supply chain degree and pursue a logistics, a procurement, planning, coordination, imports, exports, yeah, the list goes on. So supply chain is also a very good career choice to pursue. A rare combination would be a supply chain degree and again, an engineering degree. You will get employed from day one of completing those two degrees, as that is also very rare. What do they call them? Double major, if you want to call it that. But again, guys, you know, the qualifications is one thing, but it's also, and Adrian, maybe you can back me up here, it's how well you qualify that we look at. Our clients are so particular now that they are requesting your statement of results to see how well our candidates have qualified. So that's from your matric right up through to your degree. So we want to see how well you qualified in every single academic that you've gained. So please, guys, if you are pursuing a degree or diploma or any sort of tertiary qualification, please treat it as important as anything else. Right, so some other skills that are in demand, SolidWorks. So I mentioned, you know, if you are creative and you want to go the design route, SolidWorks is a highly sought after design program. 3D modeling is always in demand. If you have a passion for design, upskill yourself in various design programs out there. 3D modeling, prototyping, and research and conceptual sketching. You want to own all aspects of the product development and not just be isolated to one part of it. A lot of companies keep you isolated to either being a specialist in sketching or some other phase. So try and diversify yourself there as well. Adrian mentioned Excel. That doesn't only apply to IT, but very importantly to all careers or positions that you are pursuing. You have to be an Excel fully these days to develop reports, to do analysis, and it's high-level stuff. So anything from intermediate to advanced, we're talking about VLOOKUPs, HLOOKUP, pivot tables, bars, graphs, charts. Become a whiz on Excel. That will really help you pivot yourself in your career. ISO is your International Organization for Standardization, which is your ISO 22000, 9000, 14001. If you're pursuing a quality career, it's very important to understand those various ISO standards and try not limit yourself to the food industry. Try get hands-on experience in other industries as well. So automotive, mining, construction, so you become a quality expert. But PLCs are very important. So it's no use being an instrumentation technician, and if you don't know anything about PLCs, this applies to electricians as well, electronic engineers. PLCs are what do you call it? It drives automation. So everything is being automated these days. So if you're finding yourself in a factory or engineering firm, a PLC is a non-negotiable. You will find that there, and it will really help you to understand the various PLCs like Siemens, S7, Mitsubishi, and there's a whole lot of others. So become a PLC expert if you're pursuing an electronic career. And on the soft skills, guys, it's very important to have these technical skills, these lovely qualifications, but develop your soft skills, your people skills, being able to manage people, being able to manage your emotions, other people's emotions, conflicts in the workplace, leadership skills. These are very important soft skills to have in the workplace, which will help you become a leader and obviously drive your team through the muddy waters and grow the business and move forward in your career as well. So there's a lot of online EQ development skills you can learn online. There's a lot of free stuff, so please do your research and look into that. And over and above that, a lot of my clients, they look for candidates that have a lot of energy, candidates who are self-motivated. This does not apply to one specific career or position. It applies for every single position, and we see this day in, day out. Terence or Adrian, I'm looking for someone who's got a lot of energy, self-motivated, good values and ethics. Your values and ethics need to align well with the company's values and ethics. Learn about that stuff, guys. It's very important to business today, and a lot of expensive onboarding processes are put in place to weed out the bad candidates. So there's psychometric assessments that are done to evaluate certain aspects of people. So develop those soft skills. Don't ignore them, because they definitely play a big role in you securing that dream job of yours. Adrian, over to you. I'm going to ask you a question that you possibly asked a lot of your candidates that they struggle to answer at interviews with you. What is that question that you would ask your candidates that they struggle with?
So we go through a rigorous interview process internally when we pre-screening candidates for our clients. But one of the, I would say, simplest questions that a lot of people get stumped by, maybe it's nervousness, maybe if I put myself in that position as well, I might get stumped. But that question is very straightforward. What 3 adjectives would you use to describe who you are? And it's almost like I'm putting people on the spot and turning the heat, because I can see the blood rush from their face sometimes, because they're like, they'll think of hardworking first. Right? Everybody will think of hardworking first, and then I'll just get silenced probably. So it's a struggle. It's a challenge. So what I use to develop that is like, what do you know about yourself? So if I had to ask you, Terence, what's synonymous? If you didn't have to put your name out, if you didn't introduce yourself by your name, what 3 words would you use to say who you are? What 3 words are synonymous with Terence? And too often we get, the hardworking, motivated, and driven is probably the top 3. And when I hear that, I usually ask, okay, give me 3 more. So because I can't use it. That's everybody's top 3 and first choice. But I would say, if you want to know how to describe yourself, ask people. Ask people, what do you know about me? What do you know about me that stands out to you? What do you see in me that I could put as words to my name that can be descriptive? But yeah, it's a challenge. It is a challenging question.
So I agree with you, and I think the candidates that I interview as well, they definitely do struggle to describe themselves. But if I had to ask their boss to describe them, they'll do that very quickly. So yes, as Adrian said, spend time knowing yourself so that you're not left kind of thinking of the answer at an interview. Another question that I find candidates really struggle to answer is when I ask them about their weaknesses and strengths. A lot of candidates don't spend time understanding what their strong points are and more importantly, what their weaknesses are. And a lot of candidates feel that, it's not as important as the other questions, but it's vitally important to understand your strengths and your weaknesses and to also work on your weaknesses. Don't keep them as weaknesses, but develop those weaknesses and turn them into strengths. Very good advice that I give my candidates. So that's something to think about as well, guys. Anything else from your side, Adrian?
Terence, yeah, just on the point of weaknesses and strengths, maybe what tools would you suggest to people to use to find out what weaknesses and strengths? Maybe is there anything that they could use as maybe some sort of starting point that they could say, all right, this helps me with my identifying my weaknesses, my strengths. What would you suggest? Are there anything that you can highlight?
So it's very hard to identify your own strengths and weaknesses. And again, it ties into the question where you would ask someone to describe you. So I would also suggest ask your mother, your father, your boss, or your girlfriend, or your wife to describe your strengths and where you feel your weaknesses are. It's like Johari's window. It's that psychology. It's a psychology thing that psychologists uses. It's called Johari's window, guys. And you get better input from other people about you than you know about yourself. So ask people what you think your strengths and weaknesses are, and see if that ties in with whether or not you agree with it. So that could be one way. I think we good now in terms of, I think we've shared a lot of information. There's a lot to take in. We are going to ask you guys, if you want to reach out to us and ask us any specific questions. If you don't want to ask them now, you're more than welcome to email us. But is there anything that anybody on this forum would like to ask now that we could try and address? Adrian, I think you've got everyone on mute.
No, we can use the chat function as well on the side, but I don't mind if Du had a question. Reardon, sure. Feel free to unmute and ask the question.
As the host, I think you have to unmute.
Du?
Hello.
Yes.
Hello. So my question is related. Hi. Yeah, it's related to. I just forgot your name, but I'm in the IT field. So I'm into Java.
Yeah.
But I'm still there. I did I'm having a diploma. So I was asking for maybe for interview questions, what to prepare, or what in terms of what can I say, what topic that I need to have, maybe data structures, algorithm, what skills must I have?
So what preparation you need for an interview?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we're happy to share that. We're happy to share that, man. But you know, you mentioned that you have an affinity to Java, and you obviously that's your passion. You want to get into IT. Interviews, you know, are pretty much same throughout. Where it gets more different or where it gets more specialized in interviews is the job you're applying for, obviously. So if you're doing if you're going for a software developer type of interview, the format of the interview is going to be the same. So we touched on strengths, weaknesses. You got to know yourself. You got to know who you are. You got to know how to describe yourself. When it comes to the technical aspect, though, there will be assessments. So there's no ruling yourself out from that. If you are skilled up, if you know your stuff within the programming language, be prepared for their technical assessment. There's going to be a technical manager interviewing you. That person's going to be asking you some, stringent, rigorous questions. And that's going to be the basis of where you sit. So whether you're going to be a junior developer, for example, or an intermediate developer, that those assessments are very on point. They will rule you out if you don't meet a certain requirement or a certain grade within those assessments. So I would say, continue to work, continue to train yourself, keep practicing on the code, keep testing it out, keep building, working on projects, on side projects, asking maybe tutors from college, tutors from university, whatever the case is. Just keep reaching out to people that can help you get better in that in those languages, especially when you're getting for the interview, because the interview format is going to be the same as for any job. We interview in the same way, but when we get to certain technical questions, we will try to hone in on that just to test your skill set. Terence, do you have any input on that? And
yeah, definitely. And I see there's some questions coming up with regards to matric, and if you need the matric or NQF level 5, guys, qualifications is extremely important. And if you haven't done well at matric or didn't complete a matric for any reason, and I know it's due to financial constraints or whatever your personal circumstances is, guys, if you get an opportunity to complete your matric, irrespective of what age you are, try and complete that matric. There are other NQF level subjects that are equivalent to matric.
Yeah.
So pursue those NQF level subjects if you feel that going back to school is a waste of time. But qualifications is the foundation to get you any opportunity or a foot in the door. Develop those tertiary qualifications. A lot of the skills that our clients want you to have, they can teach. Some of them are non-negotiable, but some of them are very teachable. What you can't teach is the soft skills. You can't reschool them. Those are the basic foundations. So please, if you haven't completed a matric, please try and investigate how you can do that, or pursue your NQF level subjects. Keep going. Education doesn't stop at matric. It's an endless journey and vital to your career.
Yeah, no, absolutely true. But like you say, within the NQF framework, there are opportunities for you to get onto the right level, like you mentioned there. Steele, thanks for your question, and thank you for your question, Lou. But yeah, there are on the framework the level you need to get to that might be equivalent to matric, and that'll give you a good sort of foundation or the next grounding to step up from, because it doesn't, like Terence said, it's not, it doesn't stop there. Even if you get your NQF level 5, it doesn't stop there. You need to start progressing. So in my case, from an IT perspective, your Microsoft qualifications, if you want to get into IT networking, you're mentioning there still CSS and SQL, HTML, web development, those courses. So focus, there's opportunities to learn now even more than ever. Online platforms like Coursera, Udemy, Plurality, I think it is LinkedIn training. There's so many options now for you to get these niche certifications that can enhance your NQF level 5 and make you stand out differently than most others, where you haven't had the opportunity to get a matric. And obviously, if you don't have a matric, that limits your opportunities to get into further studies like college or university. But the niche certification route can still get you in there. Still, I just want to complete your question so I don't forget. You're looking for a job to complete your 2 years experience, so you can do an NQF 5, then do your degree, as I was talking about just now, and you're very interested in data science and business analytics. I am too. It's a fascinating job. It's a fascinating space to be in, but there's opportunities for you. I think it's just focusing on the right certifications that make you niche in that space. Because we meet, Terence, you know this, we meet degree qualified students, but because the degree was so broad over that 3-year period, they would have done a lot of different things, but not focused on the one. And when grads come out, it's like, yeah, I can go into software development, or I can go into networking. I think find the thing that you like to do and focus on that and build on those skills. What do you think, Terence?
Yep, definitely. And in conjunction with that is research, guys. One of the other questions that I ask all my candidates is which companies do you see yourself working for? What industries would you like to be in? And they don't know. They haven't done the research. They haven't asked the questions. A lot of them haven't, don't even have a mentor. I mean, one of the biggest things I would do if I was an engineer was network with like-minded engineers, people who have gone through the ranks and are now the engineering manager of Unilever or Derivco or whoever. Speak to them and find out, what did you do to get to where you are now? A lot of candidates are misled by their friends. So, I'm just going to follow my friend because he's doing this, I'm going to do that. Meanwhile, his passion is completely different to your passion, and you guys are the blind's leading the blind. So really do your research and take it from there, guys.
Absolutely, absolutely. Any other questions while we still have a few more minutes?
Nazi, I have a question for Adrian.
Hi, Nazi.
When you are conversing with clients and in terms of finding candidates, are they more inclined towards looking for people who have as you mentioned, the niche certificates, or are they more inclined for people who increase in terms of degrees, so people who've completed their masters and honors?
No, it's an interesting question. It depends on, obviously, client. It's not a broad stroke paintbrush response. I can't give you that. I can't say, they're only looking for Azure Cloud Services or MCSE or Cisco, whatever the case is. But those certifications help you just become a bit more niche. Degree, honors, masters, no doubt there's always opportunities. It's just hitting the right mark with the right companies. I've got clients who will ask for only degree qualified candidates, while others will look at those certifications that I mentioned before, within cloud or IT or networking or programming skills. So it varies from company to company. Large corporates obviously, value degree qualified students as well. But I wouldn't be able to give you a broad answer and say, all companies are happy to take on degree qualified, or make that separation into those niche certifications or degrees, because they are important. I had a candidate last week tell me that, so I asked a bunch of questions. Before this webinar last week, I spoke to a few of our top candidates within IT, and just get a better understanding so that I'm not giving out the wrong information either. And one of the guys came back to me and he said, and I wrote it down, he says, a degree is there to empower you to be an out-of-the-box thinker. And this is his words, not mine. Having a degree is a step to the job market, and you can always learn a new skill which may not necessarily be in line with your qualifications. So having a degree is like he says, gets you an out-of-the-box thinker. It sets you apart in a different way. But it's not for everybody either, because you can be more practical, and those certifications will help. I don't know if that answer helps you or if I was just rambling there. Nothing.
It does. Thank you very much.
All right. Any other questions?
Hello.
Do.
Yes, I was asking in terms of like CVs, like employees, do they consider a certain format or they only consider what is in the correct in the resume?
So a certain format and what and do? What was the question?
For example, sometimes you might have maybe a CV where you have your photo. You have a CV like where it's a one page, but it's divided like maybe into 3 sections. Or someone will just put everything in 3 pages. Someone can have the same information but in 1 page. So like
Yeah.
yeah.
I hear you. Good question. Terence, you want to help out with that CV question? So are formats important?
I think your CV is a true reflection of yourself. The amount of time you put in your CV shows us a little bit about yourself. So we look at CVs and some of them look terrible, and we think to ourselves, this is basic stuff that we learn at Matric in terms of creating a CV. And if you can't get that right, how are you going to get anything else right? So I'd say definitely invest in your time in terms of your CV, because it tells a lot about a person, and make it as detailed as you can. Put all the information in there, and we will take out the important stuff and present it to our clients. The stuff that's not relevant, we will leave out, because we obviously, as recruiters, we have a certain template that we use for CVs, and that goes out as a uniformed product to our clients. So I'd advise you to really put all the information there and make it easy to read, not in story form, and make it look presentable. It helps us as recruiters extrapolate the information and present you in good light as well.
Yeah. I would also add to that,
If I can ask,
make it suit your personality. So make it a true reflection, like Terence says, a true reflection of who you are. If you want to add your photo, put in a professional photo. If you want to, be comprehensive, but be comprehensive with the right information. And like Terence mentioned, I can't take away from that. He touched on all the right points there. Put in the key information that will stand out, that will help you stand out. It is a real reflection of who you are and your career history and your life story, if you like. But definitely don't make it into story format. But be smart in what content you put onto your CV, because that's a make or break deal as well. That CV is the first point of contact you have with us as recruiters. It's the first point of contact with employers when they see the CV. So, it doesn't take long to go through 2 pages of a CV. You can make a decision just like that if the right words are not on that CV. If the right content, if the right information, right detailed information is not on there, we can move on to the next candidate, which is very unfair. But it's really your responsibility to make sure that you've got the right stuff on your CV and make it relevant to who you are and relevant to your personality as well. Cool, thanks, Mdu. Any other questions?
Yeah, I wanted to ask Terence, maybe like if in your website you have a sort of a simple or sort of a template visual like we can follow, because in some like recruiters, they would say no, there's no need to put more information. If we need more, we can follow you. So like a person have their own preference, like based on their different recruitment. So if you can say we follow Terence's maybe on their website to see maybe what they're expecting in terms of maybe if they do have a template or sort of a guideline of what must be included in the CV.
I hear you, Ndu, and I hear that a lot where agencies require different things to other agencies. So maybe what you could do is just be a little bit more innovative and have 2 different CVs. So you can ask the agency, which would you prefer, a condensed version of my CV or a detailed version, so that you have those readily available. You have a nice detailed CV and a shortened version of your CV. But please don't leave out important information on your CV. Example, Excel or Java or anything like that. Those sort of soft skills or technical skills are quite important and can determine whether or not you even get the phone call from the recruiter to say, hey, I'd like to interview you. So be very careful not to shorten your CV too much, because it might be too short to even consider for an interview.
No, true, very true. Cool. Thanks, Abdul. But you know, we're open. We're gonna, you guys, I think most of you have our email addresses. If you don't, you know, I'll put it on social media, and I'll also be including this web link, this recording of the webinar as well on. So you know, if there's anything that stands out, that stood out, that you want to, you know, go back and retrace and ask questions about, then, you know, feel free. Any more questions? I think we are on the last couple of minutes now.
I can jump in. Oh, just a simple question. Like, do you often have these seminars, or is just the first time, or when can we maybe expect another one? Because I think personally it was very informative. So maybe I will suggest to my other friends or other people to share the, because now I only got this on LinkedIn like this morning, so I couldn't maybe invite more people.
Yeah, I think we can definitely think of another webinar just to reach out to more people. This was our first one. So we're hoping to have another one, and we will obviously inform everybody as we've done before. And once you see that invite, then please jump on, and it would be nice to have you on the next one as well.
Absolutely. Cool. You know, we were also talking last week when we were preparing for this, Terence. We asked, I asked a question, when we were sharing on this, what makes you stand out? What makes you stand out to clients? What makes you stand out to employers, recruiters? I put that question to some high caliber candidates. And the way I put the question to them, I didn't ask them what makes you stand out, but I said, what career advice would you give to your 18-year-old self if you had a chance to go back in time? And these guys are now, you know, well ahead in their game, well ahead in IT, you know, in software development, infrastructure, networking, whatever the case is. And some of the points was, or the one guy mentioned, and I'll just read out some comments here. One just said plainly, study, study, study. The more you know, the more relevant you become. Another guy said, be persistent. It doesn't matter what career field you pursue, just make sure you study it wholeheartedly, give it your all, and achieve excellent grades. I think, Terence, you mentioned that before about, you know, just doing well, either in matric, either in your diploma, certificate, just those results really do matter. So apply yourself as much as you can. You know, I've got a bunch of other comments from these guys, but I think those ones really stood out to me. They really matter, I think, because we don't think about it in the moment. And these guys are well ahead of the game. And this is some of the advice that they would say to their 18, 19, 20-year-old selves.
Absolutely. Guys, I'm going to leave you with a famous quote by a famous entrepreneur. He's a business coach and a well-recognized individual. His name is Zig Ziglar. And he says, you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. I'm going to leave you with that. Cheers, guys. Have a great day. And we look forward to seeing you guys again soon.
Brilliant. Thank you all for attending.
Cheers. Thank you so much.
Cheers, Nancy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Cheers. Take care. Bye.